Everybody, and welcome to the Wheels Fall Off podcast. And I'm your host, Spice from SpiceLifeTv, and this is my beautiful husband and co-host.
How y'all doing? I'm Creed, and this is the weekly podcast where we deal with relationships and reintegration. We learn and grow together. So y'all ready for this?
I think they're ready. I'm ready.
Let's get it again.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. We are doing a great job by being a little bit more consistent than we have been.
Yeah.
So we're working on it. Thank you guys for being there with us. We appreciate you coming back and joining us every week. Mm-hmm. To get the show started, every week we do a high-low. That's our first segment where we discuss our high and our low from the week. And so last week I started. Of course, I had a high-low. Your boy only had highs, made me look all grumpy. So he's going to start this week, and hopefully he will share with us both of his highs and his lows for the week.
Man, I think my high just happened today.
Oh, yeah? Tell the people about that.
So today I had a meeting with the director of a reentry company, a company that deals with reentry called, thank you, called, do we say it? I'm not to say it. Yeah. But he's a very integral part in what's going on around this community around. And telling you the truth, y'all, it's my first time meeting with somebody on this level, right? So I go in there and I have a conversation with him. First of all, let's just get a shout out to Spice's very, very dear friend who hooked me up.
Mary! You guys know Mary. Mary's the one that makes all the pretty goodies for holiday time. Cookies. She did all of our treats for our wedding. You've seen Mary before.
Dope. So Mary and Sean are friends, and Sean then came have a conversation with me after I emailed him, and then we got together. Yep. And today we talked for the first time face to face. Now, talking to somebody else about this outside of the walls of prison is a little different. You think it's different, but it's not. Okay. And I knew it wasn't going to be different, but I kept trying to guard against it being different. Like, what am I going to do?
Tell them what you mean. Talk about what?
So when we're talking, when I was locked up, I was involved in a number of organizations that used to get organizations like this one that I talked to today to come into prison to help us get reintegrated, to help us learn skills, to help us figure out what was wrong with us, to help us discover our focus. And what we had to do as incarcerated individuals is that these people came in and gave you one shot to talk to them and convince them to come back in, or convince them to talk to administration to set up a workshop, 2-day workshop, weekend workshop. So I was well versed in doing that, and I figured because of what people told me that this was going to be the same way. But I was guarded against me coming out here and literally being in an office with somebody and presenting it in a different way, because people out here have laptops. And what would I do when I go in and I don't have a laptop? Okay. I went with my backpack and my folder with all my credentials and all the classes and stuff that I taught. And I went in there how I know how to be prepared. And it happened to be just fine.
Just fine.
It happened to be just fine. So we talked and basically threw ideas around about what it is that I would like to do, where I am in my stage and where he is. He even gave me his story, gave him mine, and he was basically like, listen, I want you to fill out a volunteer sheet so you can volunteer with our program. And he said there's so many opportunities here in other ways when you're around, you know what I'm saying? And that could come in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be financial. And then after talking, he said, I'm going to hook you up with the guy who's a program manager of our freedom program, which is Choose Freedom, and people wanting to stay out of prison and not wanting to go to prison, mentoring. And so he was like, man, I know exactly where to put you based upon what I told him I wanted to do in my story. And it was just dope. It was just really, really dope.
I know, hearing you talking about it, you could tell that you were excited.
Yeah, it was
makes
cool.
me excited.
Like, it was like, literally, I'm going to tell you this honestly, it was like one of the first times since I've been out when I went in the room and I know this room. And I haven't felt like that. So when I'm in there, I'm like, yeah. And we're bantering back and forth. The only thing I'm really guarded against is making sure I don't talk too much, because I get excited and I'll just, you know I am, and I'll tell it the roundabout way when I could have went this way. Yeah. So I was just trying to make sure I just hit the points, but I was impressed with him, and he seemed to be impressed with me. So in terms of wanting to work with each other.
Okay, so look at you networking.
We'll see what happens.
That's good, babe. What you just said is really powerful, though. I mean, because that does do a lot for someone when you go into a room and you know, like, I got this. Like, I can't imagine how it feels to always feel kind of like unsure or always questioning or second guessing. So for you to have that feeling, I'm glad that you got to experience that.
Yeah, it was dope. It was funny. It was that the meeting was supposed to be yesterday, and I was ready. And then I was just like, man, I don't want to not be ready, but I was equally ready this morning.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was really dope.
I'm glad.
That was definitely my high. And my low, I'm sorry to say, I really don't have one.
We're changing the name of the segment.
Why? Hold on.
No, it's not a bad thing.
No, I don't think we should. I'm going to say this, though.
What?
I want to say that I could definitely count a disagreement that we got into a few days ago as a low, right?
Yeah.
And that's always a low, but, you know, I'm just not one to air laundry. So, but I'm bringing this up to say that it's a low in the fact that it happened, but it's definitely a high because I ain't been able to think about nothing but you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when you do that every day and then something can happen to compound it, to make it happen even more, you're like, what is going on? So in that sense, I could say it's a low, but then it'll be a high, you know, whatever it is. So please don't roll your eyes. Don't do that.
I rolled them. They heard how loud I rolled these eyes.
World, don't listen to the eye roll, all right?
They heard it.
All right? But that's my high-low for this week. What about you, Spiggity? I dig them earrings, too.
Do you? Thank you. I haven't worn them in a while. They're cute. Thank you.
Real nice.
These are from a Black-owned business, too. Y'all remember I used to do Support Assistant every week, and I loved it. And I'm actually going to get back into that because, I mean, look at how talented our sisters are. They be keeping your girl looking cute.
Crazy.
Between the lips, the hair, I mean, all of me is Black-owned right now. I've got all Black-owned products on me, so.
Absolutely.
What's up? Anyway, so my high, I will definitely say, there was a couple things that you said or that happened this week with you that I thought was a high, and one of them was, I've noticed there's been a few times where you'll just stop us and you'll be like, babe, do you realize nobody knows where we're at?
Yeah, that's huge for us.
I know. And it's like, every time you do it, you stop me and say that, it's always like, nobody knows where we're at. And it seems like such a small thing, but for two people who always had people watching them their whole relationship, like our whole relationship's been monitored. To just be out in the front yard, cackling like we were, watering our grass, like doing just regular schmegler, everyday stuff. And nobody checking in on us, nobody worried or pressed about when we have to come back in the house. Like we've been working out together and go around the block and walk and not have to worry about if his ankle monitor is going to buzz, if he is supposed to be this far off the property.
Yeah. That's dope. Just
little things like that. And keep it, whenever we remember them, and it just gives me that moment to kind of come back and remember, like, this is a beautiful time.
Yeah, definitely. That is always a moment of clarity to me.
Beautiful time. So just having those moments always helps me have a good week, because I just remember where we were 2 years ago this month, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago this time. It was just a whole different story. So I'm happy about that. Sure. I think my low is kind of a high too. It's kind of turned into a high. My low was a little humbling for me this week, and it kind of came, of course, you know, God, he does that to you sometimes, but mine was a little unexpected because I wasn't even realizing that I wasn't doing something, but I was praying and I was asking God about a situation. Actually, it was about this disagreement that me and you had. I was kind of praying about him to kind of give me some more understanding, or and God, help him see why he needs to do this and why he needs to do that and he needs to do that. And when I tell you, it was so clear, it was so clear about what I was not doing. It was very clear, highlighted at what I wasn't doing, but then expecting all of these things. So to be specific, I was praying, or I've told God what my dreams are and my goals are, and I've asked him to kind of help guide us in our relationship. And he knows, you know, I've said it, I've prayed it before, and I just kind of prayed it and left it where it was. Because to me, it was like, I'm not going to keep hounding him with this petty stuff when I know he knows the big picture and he's got it all figured out. So I'm not going to keep just hounding him with it. So me thinking okay, God's got it, and me not really praying about it anymore was kind of a spotlight in my face. It was like the prayer, you're looking at the prayer kind of wrong, because the prayer is about the humility that comes with you feeling like you earned this or that you do deserve this and that you want God to bless you with this. There's a humility that comes for asking help. And the same humility that I was trying to get you to understand, asking for help is not a problem, but you should ask. You shouldn't just assume that people are going to help you, was the same thing I was doing to God. Assuming that just because I just threw it out there but didn't really go to him and say like, Lord, I really need you to help me with this. And please show me how. And keep talking to him about it was really me doing the same thing. Did that make sense at all?
I see where you're coming from.
So that was kind of my low, was just this, the low was that like, girl, you need to really put more time in asking God and have more of a humble attitude when you come to him. But then that kind of turned into a high because it just has re-sparked this constant like reaching out and prayer to him. It's weird how I knew I could pray to him and go to him all the time. But it was almost like I felt like I was bothering him with this small stuff. Like I was saving him for the big stuff and not trusting him with all of the things because he really can do it all. And me acting like I have to dose it out to him so that he can handle my problems when, you know.
The thing is, I remember us having a conversation about this. And I think me and you kind of came into the opposite agreement a while back, which was continuing to pray to him about the same thing over and over again. You're basically saying you don't have no faith. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And so we were like, we're going to be specific in our prayers, and then we're going to go to him with it and let him handle it. Mm-hmm. He's going to handle it in his time. He knows what we want. So you're basically saying, that ain't even it, because what's been revealed to me is that you need to continue to pray and humble yourself, because that shows him that I am humbling myself to you. And that is actually probably the way to go. When you told me about it, I was like, that actually sounds better. Because
I think that they kind of go together, the two theories that we were using. Mm-hmm. Because I think what I wasn't doing was I wasn't still using God to help him, to have him help me figure out exactly what I'm supposed to do. So let's say let's just do a broad thing. Like, Lord, please help us with our YouTube. Okay, that's the blanket. So I know that this is what we want and where we're going. But the whole time, I'm not saying like, Lord, could you please help develop me so that I'm doing what I need to do for this? I'm just saying like, I want us to have this. Mm-hmm. Please help us get here. But in the meantime, like, Lord, can you please help me so that I can get this mental clarity so that I can do what you're asking me to do? Like, I don't have to keep necessarily asking for the big thing, but I do need to be checking in to make sure I'm ready for him giving me the big thing. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Basically, we always say there's layers to this shit. And even with prayer, there's layers to it. Mm-hmm. You're saying, I was praying for the big picture, but there's layers to getting to the big picture that I need to be praying for. Because in order to get there, you need to be prepared. You need to be ready. You need to be, you know what I'm saying? You need to go through obstacles. You need to jump over hurdles. And so, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
Well, and I was creating more stress on myself by trying to hold on to, like, I'll just take care of this and he got that part. Well, me taking care of this it's not like I'm doing that any better than him. Mm. Like, if anybody can multitask, it's him. I'm the one having problems with this. So why am I trying to help him do his job? Mm-hmm. Instead of just giving him more to do for me. Like, he can do it. He said, I got you. Like, let him. Instead, I'm always trying to be like, jump in there and help. Like, you don't have to help God, though. Yeah. Like, that's not your role. You have no help. You have nothing to offer that man. You can't do nothing for him.
Nothing.
So, I'm just trying to kind of learn how to stay in my lane, but then also learn, I just want to kind of get reconnected to God and be more in tune with him and talk to him way more, because there's so much more that, since I have been talking to him more, I feel just so much lighter about things.
You feel like you literally get stuff off your chest.
Absolutely. And I'm getting answers. Like, easy answers that are like, oh, been there the whole time. You know? It's crazy.
It's almost scary.
If we just get out of our own way.
The IQ level between us and God is almost scary. The difference.
And the fact that we have the audacity.
Nothing. You know nothing.
The audacity to think you're helping. Girl, stop. Yeah. What? Anyway, so that's my high-low. Okay. You know what I think? I think we need to change the segment and call it like, so what's up, though?
What up, though? I'm with that.
Always say that.
I'm with that.
And it's either what's up, like we can say what's up, either what's good or what's not good.
Just on your heart, huh?
Just like what's up, though, or what's up with it,
That's
something
coming.
like that.
Even though they might not see that part, but still,
What's
that's
up
tough.
with it? Yeah, we should change that. All right, so let's jump into our question of the week.
Let's get it.
We ask a question every week. This week we're asking from the last couple standing quarantine pack, or no couple is safe quarantine pack edition.
Ain't nobody safe with this pack questions.
You picked last time. I'll pick this time.
All right, let's go.
Can my sex be better? Tell the people. Tell the world. I mean, honest.
You sure you want the world to know this?
I want the world to know. You tell these people.
Nah, y'all. He can't. Let me clear my throat. Nah, y'all. Your boy is straight. Listen, let me tell you something. Being a stand-up man and all that aside.
Okay.
All right? I'm that. Mm-hmm. I done told you plenty of times. Can't nobody do nothing for me. Except to point me in the direction you just went. And most of it's because of you and who you are.
Okay.
But part of it...
Okay. Thank you for that.
You asked me.
I did.
I asked you if you wanted the people to know.
I did. And
now y'all know. Because it's an all.
My goodness. Here, pick your card.
All right. No, not asking this one. No.
What?
No, not asking that one.
Why?
It's not relevant to you.
Fine.
Not that one either.
Okay.
You're annoying.
I'm annoying.
Yeah, you're annoying for this card game, but I love you for the other reasons. Okay.
Yeah.
If later today you find out I have a relationship on the side, would you leave or work it out?
Deuces. I'm out. You ain't playing about to have me
later today.
Well,
we going bowling tomorrow.
Not you.
You can't leave. No, I'm going. I'm going.
You ain't going bowling.
And I'm wearing a bowling shirt.
You ain't going bowling with me. Like, girl, right. Stop.
Yeah.
This was no couple is safe.
You don't.
Last couple standing. You were supposed to read those.
No. No. No.
What you mean? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Put them back in the deck.
Well, I want to know the answer to that question, to both of them. All right, you guys. So let's get into this week's episode. We are going to do something a little different. It kind of started off of that what I was telling you about my low, about me talking to God more, and it just was kind of more revealing about, like, you are kind of setting yourself up for failure by not really going to him and using him as your resource. So it made me think about, I was watching a couple podcasts, and a few weeks ago this quiz was kind of all over the place. I have to give credit to that chick Angel and her husband, their podcast. They did the same survey, so I thought we would do it too, and it's called The 9 Ways We Self-Sabotage. And so what we're going to do, I will post the link in the description so that you guys can take this quiz with us, because we're going to go through and answer these questions together. We did not answer them before. I don't even know what they are. I just know that there's 50 questions, and so we're going to go through, answer them for each ourselves. So you answer for yourself, I answer for mine, and at the end we'll have our best scores and we'll talk about the sabotage ways. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so this is the 9 ways we self-sabotage. This is off the positiveintelligence.com. So the website is assessment.positiveintelligence.com. So assessment.positiveintelligence, all one word, .com. I'll put the link in the bottom and you guys can do the quiz with us. Let's get started.
Let's get cracking.
All right, so the first one, let's see, it says saboteur instructions. All right, so it's giving us questions, and it says we will grade them from strongly to, or strongly disagree to strongly agree. So it's like, it's probably hard to see, but you see the scale, so it's 5. So you have strongly agree, somewhat neutral, somewhat disagree, strongly disagree. Do you get that? Okay, so that's how we'll do it. Ready? Okay, so the first one says, I have high discomfort with conflict and avoid dealing with it. Answer your question. 2 is, I can be too much of a stickler or perfectionist, from strongly disagree to agree. I can't rest and need to be constantly busy. I am usually more anxious and worried than others around me. I criticize others more often than praise them. I have a strong need to take charge and be in control. I take particular pride in being rational and analytical. I have a tendency towards being moody and melancholy. I measure my self-worth mostly through my achievements. I have a very self-critical voice.
Mind if I do 10 of them?
Sure, I was gonna hope you did.
All right. I am a pleaser. I procrastinate a lot. I can't help but be a perfectionist. I need to juggle a lot of balls all the time to prevent boredom. Disagree with that. When things go wrong, I tend to stay upset for some time. I am hypervigilant and always on the lookout for danger. Others have described me as too controlling. I have a tendency to feel sorry for myself. I can come across as too analytical and intellectually arrogant.
I am often annoyed by flaws and faults with others. Pleasing others and having them like me is very important to me. I avoid dealing with conflicts to a point where they fester and become real problems. Status and my public image are important to me. I am often anxious and highly vigilant. I am very critical of myself. I like things to be very orderly and organized. I feel restless and rarely at peace with what I am doing in the moment. I can be confrontational and forceful when I need to get things done. When I'm criticized or unfairly treated, I tend to withdraw, pout, and sulk.
When bad things happen, I tend to stay upset for some time. I tend to intimidate others with the intensity of my analytical mind.
I tend to intimidate others with the intensity of my analytical mind. Okay. Sorry, I had to read it.
No, I'm tripping off the question. Like,
so many words.
Yeah. Compared to others, I do more pleasing, rescuing, or flattering people. Life is about achieving and producing results for me. Others tell me I am too much of a perfectionist. I often find faults and flaws with others. I procrastinate on dealing with important but unpleasant tasks. Others tell me I worry too much. I get impatient with others easily and step in to push things forward. I easily get impatient and bored and want something different.
When I make a mistake, I beat myself up over it. I can be perceived as cold and too rational. Sometimes I feel like a victim or a martyr. I feel worthy mostly when I'm successful and achieving. I am so into helping others that I sometimes lose sight of my own needs and feel resentful. The circumstances of work or life significantly affect how happy I feel. How old are you? It's an optional question. And then what's your gender? What's your occupation? What? They don't give you much, huh?
No.
All right, then you put in your information, and then they're going to send you the results. Okay, so now go to your inbox. Come on.
You can't say come on until at least 10 minutes. Oh.
Yours came through? Mother fudge. Oh, mine did too. Okay. All right, so we have been sitting here. It didn't take, what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? It wouldn't take very long. So now we've got our results, and we need to come in here and figure out what they all mean. View scores. We have scored your relative strength amongst 9 saboteurs. Discover the top saboteurs that cause the greatest harm to both your performance and happiness. Okay. Now, before I answer what mine are,
okay.
Looking at the list, do you have an idea where you think I would score high and like I can do the same for you?
Okay, I feel like where you're going to score high is a pleaser. And I'm going to say hyper-rational.
Hyper-rational? Okay. I think where you're going to score high is avoider and hyper-vigilant. And also controller. I think controller's up there too.
Okay.
All right, so I'll tell you my top 3.
Mm-hmm.
My top 3 was pleaser with 9.4, hyperachiever with 8.8, avoider was 8.1, controller was 7.5, hypervigilant was 6.3, victim was 4.4, stickler 4.4, restless 4.4, and hyper-rational was 4.4.
Really?
And you said you thought I was, my hyper-rational was the last one, but pleaser was the top one.
That was kind of a giveaway, though.
I never really considered myself a pleaser until just recently, and I learned what it meant. And I was like, oh, that is me.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, what are your tops? What's your ranking?
Hypervigilant, 8.8. Hyperachiever, 8.1.
Mm-hmm.
Victim, 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, babe.
No. Stickler, 7.5. Hyper-rational, 6.9. Restless, 6.3. Pleaser, 6.3, which I totally disagree with that.
Yeah, but that's in the middle of your pleaser is still the low end of your things. You just had high scores on things.
Well, controller is 5 and avoider is 3.1.
Interesting.
And I answered truthfully.
But that's funny how we both guessed our tops as one is the highest and the lowest. Yeah. So hypervigilant was your top and avoider was the bottom, and I thought that would have been one of your tops. But definitely victim. I knew victim would be up there.
You ain't no shit.
I did.
You didn't.
All right, so now let's explore. If you scroll down, you can press the explore button, and it talks more about the characteristics. Okay, so let's go through them.
All right.
A pleaser, it says, indirectly tries to gain acceptance and affection by helping, pleasing, rescuing, or flattering others, loses sight of own needs, and becomes resentful as a result. I feel like that's kind of me to a T. Me to a T in a lot of ways. Characteristics, has a strong need to be liked by people and attempts to earn it by helping, pleasing, rescuing, or flattering them. Needs frequent reassurance by others about their acceptance and affection. Can't express own needs openly and directly. Does so indirectly by having people feel obligated to reciprocate care. I don't really think that's the case, though, do you?
No, not at all.
The thoughts are, to be a good person, I should put the needs of others ahead of my own. It bothers me when people don't notice or care about what I have or done for them. They can be selfish and ungrateful. I give away too much and don't think of myself enough. I can make anyone like me. If I don't rescue people, who will? I don't really think those are really all of mine. I think out of that list, I definitely feel like I can make anyone like me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people can be selfish and ungrateful. Mm-hmm. Often I think that. And it's not that I think you have to put people in front of you. I just don't mind doing things for people. Like, it makes me feel good to do things for people. But I will say that I do get resentful when sometimes if you see that I need something, or if I do ask you for something and then you're all of a sudden not available. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's a resentment for that. Mm-hmm. But it's hard because it's not like when I'm doing it for you, I'm doing it saying like, you have to do this for me later. But it's like, okay, but can I just get the same? Can you give me the same energy I gave you? Mm-hmm. I get sensitive about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Read your top one.
That has been a conversation. All right. Continuous intense anxiety. This is hypervigilant. Continuous intense anxiety about all the dangers what could go wrong. Vigilance that can never rest. Characteristics. Always anxious with chronic doubts about self and others. Extraordinary sensitivity to danger signals. And it depends on what you call danger signals. Mm-hmm. Constant expectation of mishap or danger. Suspicious of what others are up to. Mm-hmm. People mess up. Might seek reassurance and guidance in procedures, rules, authorities, institutions.
You've kind of came home and expressed those very things to me a few times, just during your workday, about always not knowing what people's agendas are or motives, or second guessing them.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't really take issue with anything on the characteristics.
What about on the thoughts?
Thoughts. When is the other shoe going to drop? Yeah. If I make a mistake, I fear everyone's going to jump down my throat. Yeah. I want to trust people, but I find myself suspicious of their motives. Absolutely. I need to know what the rules are, although I might not always follow them. 100%.
Now, that ain't a word.
Feelings. Skeptical, even cynical, often anxious and highly vigilant. I'm skeptical a lot?
Yeah, I do.
Justification lies. Life is full of dangers. If I don't look out for them, who will? Yeah, okay. I don't believe that. An impact on self and others. This is a hard way to live. The constant anxiety burns a great deal of vital energy that could otherwise be put to great use. Loses credibility due to the crying wolf phenomenon. Others begin to avoid the hypervigilant as the intensity of that energy drains them.
We've had that conversation too. Okay, so popping back over on mine, which is for pleaser. The feelings a pleaser might have is expressing own needs directly feels selfish. Oh my gosh, that is exactly what me and my therapist were talking about last week. As I was just telling her, sometimes I don't say what I want because I do feel like it is going to be looked at as selfish, because sometimes I feel like your needs are just more important than mine because they're more drastic, or they're just needs that have not been met for a longer period of time. So I feel like me saying, well, but look at me it is selfish sometimes compared to you. And that's where I have to kind of learn how to balance and be like, yeah, but you still got to be heard and seen. Worried that insisting on own needs may drive others away. Resentful for being taken for granted, but have difficulty expressing it. And that is where it's not fair, because I do have difficulties expressing it, and then resentful because I didn't tell you. You don't have all the details.
The one before that, could you read that one again?
Worried that insisting on own needs may drive others away.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's because it has. It has driven others away. And I think it's because sometimes when your needs make other people uncomfortable, it does make them like say, nah, it's not really my problem. And so for that reason, when you get that message, you end up learning how to just take care of your own problems, because you don't want them to say, I don't want to deal with that anymore.
Absolutely. But part of that answer, when it was talking about driving people away, they were saying worried. That your feelings are that you're worried about that. So even if it does happen, it's truth that they may go away, you shouldn't even be worried about that, because you should feel the right to express yourself.
Yes, and I should feel that my needs are important enough to not care about other people being worried. That's exactly what I'm working on in therapy, is like, that's on them. If you saying how you feel affects them, then that is for them to deal with. You can't not talk about your feelings or how you're being made to be treated or anything, and then worried about how the other person is going to deal with it. That's not your problem. That's their problem. Learning that's the hard part. And then letting them have it is the other hard part.
100%.
Justification lies. I don't do this for myself. I help others selflessly and don't expect anything in return. The world would be a better place if everyone did the same. I say that one all the time.
Yeah.
Interesting. Impact on self and others. So this can jeopardize taking care of one's own needs, including emotionally, physically, or financially. It can lead to resentment and burnout. That for sure is me. Others can develop dependence rather than learn to care of themselves and feel obligated, guilty, or manipulated. And I do definitely think that is something that we might have little doses of.
Say that last part again.
Others can develop dependence rather than learn to take care of themselves and feel obligated, guilty, or manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm definitely guilty of that.
I think
I've been guilty of that.
I mean, but to know it's not to all your own fault. Like, I definitely contribute to that.
Yeah, but only my part of it is, especially throughout this whole process, is sometimes easier to, when you do handle it, to just go on and to the next thing and then not backtrack and try to learn that thing that you didn't know that you helped me with earlier. Mm-hmm. And so then what happens is over time stuff piles up and then you realize there's a lot of stuff you didn't learn.
Yeah.
Take time to learn.
And I think that's when the resentment comes up, is because it's like, yeah, but see, I've been doing it, so you should have been paying attention. And now you don't have to do it. What are we doing? Mm-hmm. So they're definitely, I think, just us. This is really like it's hard.
It is.
So we've never done it before.
But that's what this is about. We learn and grow together.
Yeah.
Like y'all understand that, like, this is a process and you guys are witnessing the process. We're talking about it, but we're actually going through the process. So as we learn, we might be talking to y'all about something we learned just last week or just yesterday.
Or today.
Yeah, not something that we've been knowing for years.
Right. Okay, so just the summary of that one. It says the original survival function. The pleaser tries to earn attention and acceptance through helping others. This is an indirect attempt to have one's emotional needs met. It is fed by two original assumptions that are picked up in childhood. I must put others' needs ahead of my own. I must give love and affection in order to get any back. I must earn it and am not simply worthy of it. Mm-hmm. That is crazy, because that almost could make me cry. That last sentence, I must earn it and I'm not simply worthy of it.
You know, that ain't true, but I know you feel like this sometimes.
Yeah.
It just comes.
It took me a long time. I literally had this ring that I had, and I actually just gave it to a friend of mine because I feel like it should be one of them things you pass to your next sister that might need it, who's just kind of in the moment. But I had this ring that I bought, and it just said, I am enough, because there were several years where I just didn't feel like I was. I felt like nobody really cared about me, and nobody truly, deeply cared about me. And so learning this whole pleaser thing and how that's kind of played into my mental health and just my self-worth, and where it started at in my life, and how it's kind of carried its way through, and just areas of like, oh, I love it, and then areas of like, no, you gotta rein that in. That's really what I'm working on.
Yeah. I've heard, don't know a lot about like therapy and healing and all that, but I've heard that the early stages are the hardest part. And you've been handling it very well from what I see.
Yeah. And
you may not feel that way, but I'm just saying sometimes you need an outsider's perspective. I'm an outsider that's in the house with you. Mm-hmm. And so whatever you may feel, you're entitled to feel like that about your early stages of this process. But I'm just telling you, you're handling it very well.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're doing very well. I didn't read the original survivor's function, so I messed up too.
No, go ahead.
But, this is the hypervigilant often comes from early experiences where the source of safety and security, parental figure it has, was unpredictable and unreliable. It could also result when painful, unexpected events prove life to be threatening or unreliable.
Damn.
How
fitting.
Crazy is that?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is like, they just summarized your life.
They did.
In 3 sentences.
They did.
Wow, babe. What popped into your mind? So when I read yours, I don't know if you did this for me, but when I read yours, certain instances popped into my head that fit those sentences. Did that happen for you?
It did. Not even what I'm talking about, but yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I'm interested later on to find out what popped in your mind, though. But that's crazy right there, because no part of these results even rattled me or anything like that. That one right there touched me a little bit. I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, read that one again.
All right. The hypervigilant often comes from early experiences where the source of safety and security, parental figure, was unpredictable and unreliable. It could also result when painful, unexpected events prove life to be threatening and unreliable. That's crazy.
You know, it's kind of crazy how, like, I don't know if yours specifically said childhood, but a lot of the things that I popped into my head started in your childhood. And then my example specifically talked about my childhood is like that's where it came from or where it starts. And you know how they always say like it starts at home or it starts like with your parents and it's not like I ever am blaming my parents because I'm way too old for that now, and all of my decisions and what they put into me, like I really do think that it's made me who I am, and I don't regret that. But it is crazy how all of the good and the bad things can be traced back to your parents. Mm-hmm. Like literally, it starts and ends with them. The job is such a hard job, mm-hmm. and we mess it up. People mess it up all the time, but. It's just crazy at how much that affects you, and it starts you off, and then you just carry it with you.
You do.
Your whole life.
Is there a specific time in your life where you become responsible for that burden? Like, is it an age? How does that work? Because your parents can be you can be the result of your parents' mess up mm-hmm. for a long period of time, but like, do you get to like 25 or 30 and now it's time for you to clean it up, or is it like it happens when it happens?
No, I think you absolutely have to choose, and you determine when you know better. That's when the change has to start. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can make that change when you don't know that you need to or know how to. But as soon as you recognize that, okay, something needs to be changed, and that you recognize your part in that change, mm-hmm. that's like when the change, I think, starts. It's beginning. That's the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But you have to consciously work at it every day.
Yeah.
Once you know about it. Is that what you're asking?
That's exactly what I'm asking. You know, what's funny is that talking to the guy I was talking to today at the meeting, one of the things I asked him was, like, everything that I've been through in life, because he told me his story, and his story sounded worse than mine, talking about
really?
His parents.
Okay.
And I said, and you've never spent a day in prison, I'm assuming. And he said, no, I haven't. Mm-hmm. And I said, so what was your catalyst? Because I know everybody's different. And he said, literally, the only thing, the difference between me and you is I had a person. And you didn't have a person mm-hmm. to prevent you from going to prison. And he said that, he said, remember you were talking to me. He said, you were talking earlier about, you know, like people present you getting options and finding out what your options are. He said just a person to be able to tell you what your options are. Mm-hmm. It's probably the thing that prevents you from going to prison and sending you to prison.
Right.
And so it's the same thing here. It's like the parents are just so uniquely involved in this molding and this shaping, yes. Mm-hmm. But then the healing comes where maybe you just have to run into a person that may save your life.
Yeah.
That may be the thing after your parents that saves you. Mm-hmm. And it's the difference between you going down the road this way or that way. I know I didn't have a person before all this started, the whole legal system thing, but I had a person through it, and I had a person at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And me and this guy were talking. That person, he said, somebody could have came home in my same predicament and had you during all that and this whole situation up. Mm-hmm. He said, so that makes you unique, but you had a person, and that's probably preventing you from going back. Mm-hmm. No matter how much pride you say you're not going to go back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that to say, sometimes we just need a person in our lives. That's it.
No, it's true because, babe, I've told you this before. Like, even though those are my darkest years and everything in my life was so falling apart, and yeah, you were in prison, and the fact that I found solace in you mm-hmm. not being in prison, but you just happen to be in prison. I really think so many times that you definitely saved my life. Honestly. Okay. No, I'm not saying that to be cute. I'm saying that because I was in a place where I never was like wanting to take my life. Nothing like that. But I didn't care about it. And I didn't treasure it. And the only thing that made me not give up, because my life wasn't of value to me, but I did not want to let you down. And I couldn't leave you alone after everybody else had left you. I could not be the other person to leave you. So you were kind of my purpose for a lot until I worked myself out of that space. Mm-hmm. But you did save me because I needed to be me being the pleaser and taking care of somebody. You was my purpose. That was like all I had at the time. Mm-hmm. And it really did keep me going. I have to really give a lot of testament to that.
Wow. I really don't even know what to say to that.
I know, because it's not... I hate it. It doesn't sound like it's a compliment, really. I don't know. That it sounds like a compliment.
No, it's not. I don't think it's meant to be a compliment, but it's at the same time, is that...
It was like a survival. Integral. Yeah, you you were my person. You were the person that kept me going. And even though it wasn't ideal and it's not something I would ever say, like, go seek this out, it just happened to be, it was you. And that's what kept me.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is that I think it was, of course, on my own pity party, used to be like, I wish I could do more when you were going through all that. And so I'm sitting in there thinking I wasn't doing anything. And it wasn't probably until, honestly, within the last few years, and I say 3 or 4, when I've heard you tell people this story, that I knew that I was an integral part, because I just thought I wasn't doing anything for you, you know, and you were handling on your own, which I still think that's what you was doing, honestly.
And that's probably, I was, but I will say that, like, in my life where everything was completely blown up and nothing had any structure to it, there was no routine, nothing was recognizable, that structure is annoying and invasive and just ridiculous that it is. Prison is. The structure was what I needed at the time. Like, I knew that I'd be able to talk to you from between 7 and 9 because my free minutes started at 7. I don't even know if you remember back then, but like free minutes didn't even start until 9 o'clock. But I had Sprint, so mine started at 7, and you could call me at 7. And I remember you'd call me at like 6:59, and I'd be like, "No,
you like, hey, go call me back in 2 minutes."
I'd be having to pay double for the call. You paying for the call and for the minutes, so I'd be like, "Nope, you're gonna have to call me back." So just stuff like that. Like, I knew that those were those times, and I could just kind of break off the day and just get through that. And I knew, like, just get through the weekend. You get to spend 8 hours with him, and for that 8 hours, nobody will be able to find you. You won't have to worry about nothing on the outside. It was like an escape for me. It really was. Yeah, it's crazy how it became that, but I think that's why I can say sometimes in certain aspects I miss it, because it was a routine that I did for 20 years. It's like going to work every day and then all of a sudden just not going.
Yeah, it's no different from a cat that was locked up. Like, you are institutionalized.
Absolutely.
No less than I am. You know what I'm saying? That routine keeps us going. So imagine you, who's out here free, who has a choice, and you choose to follow that routine. Like, we're not choosing to follow it, but you chose to follow that routine every single day, and it became a routine. It became something you fell in love with, whether you wanted to or not.
Well, not that I fell in love with.
Well, familiar with.
Okay,
familiar with.
Let's make the words right.
My fault, world.
It's
My
not
fault.
been love.
You fell familiar with, though, to the point where it was like you missed it when it was gone. What's up? I'm shooting a podcast while I shot your ass to voicemail. I will call you back. Yeah, tell me about it. I'm gonna call you back for sure. All right. I said I'm gonna call you back. I was on the phone with Johnny. I just said I'll call you.
I know. He didn't get that. It's because you don't tell your friends about what we do.
Yes, I do. I told him. You know.
You never send them a link. No, you didn't. Yeah, so I mean, this has been enlightening for me, especially now that they kind of broke down all of the different the different saboteurs. So let me just tell the people, because I don't know if they know. So you have the pleaser. Did I list these?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the pleaser, the hyperachiever, the avoided, the controller, the hypervigilant, the victim, the stickler, restless, and hyperrational. So what this is now, it's got all of the different results that we have, and it will break it down for you and kind of give you more in depth on that. It just went over we went over our top pick, which mine was pleaser, and yours is hypervigilant.
Yeah.
But I feel like, because me and Creed have really been talking about where we want our next focus to be, as far as like just business wise, YouTube wise, financial wise, like a bunch of different areas, right? And I've been always guilty of being a self-sabotager, a self-saboteur. Yeah. Because sometimes success gets a little scary, honestly. If it comes a little quick, you kind of like, oh God, I'm not ready. But I'm ready. So I need to stop pussyfooting around and getting it going.
She ready?
She ready. You ready?
I've been ready.
All right, then.
Shit.
Let's get it cracking. We hope that this was interesting for you guys. I hope you guys probably kind of felt that we might have been a little bit of like because we've never really done this with having other information that we have to incorporate in, so that might have been a little bit tricky and a little sticky for y'all, but bear with us. We're still working this out.
For sure. We're doing our thing though.
We are. It was fun. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. If you have any other tests or quizzes or just like, oh, that would be cute to get their input to see what they're like, feel free to DM me on my Instagram at SpiceLifeTv. I'll make sure that that's somewhere in the corner. Also, all of our contact information is down in the bottom. So make sure you do that. And also, we are going to start our jar of story times.
Absolutely.
So we've been compiling some words, writing them down. You guys can always add to those words. We're just going to keep writing them down. The idea is we're going to, at the end of every show, we're going to pull it out, and that is the story time that we'll tell for the next week. So next week we should have that bucket already. I needed a little bit more time to get some words together, and just so we can make sure that I have a story for each word that I put in there. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
But until then, please comment, like, share. We love hearing from you guys in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. Tell us what your tops are. If you have your top 3, please let us know in the bottom. If you are a pleaser or hypervigilant, make sure you let us know that too, because we would like to know, where our spice rack stands with us.
I want to find out who my hypervigilant people is out there, man. You know what I'm saying?
Tell us the traits that matched yours.
Yeah, we like a gang. We're going to do our thing. You know what I'm saying? So let us know.
So until next time, everybody, thank you so much. And we will be back next week. We love you guys.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Be sure.